Dann fangen wir mal mit der Aussage an. Mr. Loon's Balloons. As I said, Balthazar Loon is not liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe! But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can ya? The coppers at the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. Was ist debris oder debris? Debris? Trümmer, okay, Abfälle. This stupido ragazzo is mistaken. My balloon has the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you? Sí, exactamente! If you even saw a balloon in the first place. I do not like the sound of it. It is very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war. All out war. What happened to all out war? Ja, erstmal einen Ballon kaufen. Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying. But what that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examination. Mr. Loon's balloons. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. Hold it! You couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe? Senor. I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Was sind lentils? Lentils. Linse, okay. Oder was? Erwe? Okay, Linse. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I could make a mistake about something so grande and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear no mistake has been made then. Surely Mrs. Wade could have been sent for such a menial task. What? Me? I tell you what I told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it and said he'd have to go himself on that case. Huh. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe! Hold it! It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky? Are you an idiota? Sorry? That is like asking, why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright, and a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Huh. That must be Italian for I don't know. There are 2 types of flying balloons, hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, and my balloons are filled with a magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen. Lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord! I do not permit smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. the magic gas does not like fire. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What is the matter with you, senor? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat. None of my balloons exploded that day. I am completely sure. But if you still say that is what happened, you must show me the proof. Alright, so Mr. Loon had 3 balloons in the air that day. If none of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded? Irgendwie ja wahrscheinlich der, wo das Opfer drin war, oder? But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can ya? Hold it! I was surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not into picking stuff up off the ground, me. Always works out way better, diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss one was on its hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is though, the cage went crashing into the crystal tower, didn't it? So that's where most of the investigation was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence. Core, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? Well, you ain't got a badge, have ya? Like this one. I could arrest ya with this if I wanted you to. I wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk of some scorching on the ground at the meeting we had about the investigation. The coppers at the yard reckoned it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. Hold it! There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the coves what were watching the experiment were caught in the blast and injured. Good job the old contraption didn't kill over, eh? I hadn't even considered that, dass das Gerät umkippen könnte, ja. It seems there was great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of the envelope from the balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Like me swiping all his fish and chips, eh? The man's so clever. None of this matters. That scrap-up balloon envelope means nothing. Niente. This stupido ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. Hold it! You mean the color is wrong? Si, senor. I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. And yet, a piece of green cloth was found at the scene, and it's unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know what that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that the green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition? Si! Exactamente! As the senor says, it is not from one of my balloons. Clearly this little ragazzo from Bohemia is mistaken about what he saw. Excuse me?
Excuse me!
Is something wrong, Master Gotts? It's Master Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund Ornstein! It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear it all over Bohemia. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have evidence, ragazzo, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Oh, oops. Speichervorgang, alles klar. Perhaps we let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? To give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim. Well, why didn't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here. Good gracious. What? I had not been up in a balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs. Of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian Exhibit, of the streets of London, of the odd ear cellar, the balloon. And the instantaneous kinesis experiment. Did you take a picture of that? Yeah! One picture! Really, you did take one. But all I wanted was a ride in a balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course! And then you will see. You will see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. Ein Schwarz-Weiß-Foto hilft uns hier nicht weiter. Well, I see you are all too shocked to speak. Yes, I think shock is indeed the word, young man. Yeah, perhaps you cannot see it was a great balloon from this photograph, but... a green balloon. But that is not my fault! That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera! That is one very bohemian sounding cry. Very well, the court will accept this photograph as evidence. The photograph of the balloon has been entered into the court record. A photograph taken by God's whilst he was riding in a balloon. It shows another balloon that he claims was green and exploded moments after he took the shot. It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. Okay, gucken wir uns das nochmal an. Also, hier ist das Ding. Dann ist hier wahrscheinlich der Hairbrain, wie er das aktiviert. Und hier ist der Assman kurz vor seinem Tod. Und ist hier schon Rauch um die Gegend. Und hier ist ein Ballon, der lustigerweise, komischerweise leer ist. Warum ist der Ballon leer, ist die Frage. Werden wir vielleicht noch herausfinden. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang. This very loud bang. And the hot wind rushed over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give the flying fig. Lovely language you've picked up. As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young bohemian boy claims to have seen another, fourth balloon, but Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility. And it's hard to imagine the man in charge to be mistaken about the number that were in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure. Okay. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All three of the balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe. Can't get away from the fact that a burned up tidbit of cloth was found at the scene, can ya? The copper at the yard reckoning was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. The stupido ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. Aber es ist dann ja nicht sein Ballon. Weil auf dem Foto sind ja keine Stripes, keine Streifen. Oder sehe ich das falsch? Hier sind ja keine Streifen auf dem Ballon.
Objection!
Schließen, okay. Das ist nicht richtig. Load. Dann pressen wir das letzte Statement nochmal. Aber eigentlich...
Hold it!
But the Prinz took a photograph as proof. It's Prinz Wilhelm Gottreich Sigismund Ormstein. Your royal blood will not help you here, ragazzo. See, it is a balloon, but there's nothing more you can see from the black and white photograph. Just look on my head. That is Balthasar Saloon balloons, the best in the business. Let's try not to get overinflated. The point is this. Here we have clear photographic proof that in the sky above the experimentation stage, there may very well have been a balloon operated by somebody other than you, Mr. Loon. Who was it? I want to know. Who was this mongrel with no respect for the boundaries? As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young Bohemian boy could have seen another fourth balloon. Okay, das hatten wir schon. As I said, Balthasar Loon is no liar. Every balloon in the sky lands safely. We're carrying passengers. Oh, hier müssen wir das dann vielleicht präsentieren, weil da ja keine Passengers drin waren. Weil auch hier sein Shape von seinem... Er sagte ja, sein Hut ist in der Shape von seinen Ballonern. Und das wird ja erklären, wir sehen ja nur hier so ein Teil und die Streifen sind ja erst oben. Ich dachte, die wären irgendwie horizontal, nicht vertikal gestreift, aber sind sie ja gar nicht. Aber es sind keine Passengers drauf, das sehen wir.
Objection!
Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gods took can't tell us the color of the balloon, but it can tell us something else, something crucially important. What? It shows that the pictured balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah! My goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. Sir, they are for pleasure, for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So, when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. The mysterious green balloon. I know nothing, niente. I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine.
Objection!
There are illegal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition, and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See, the competizione, trying to steal my profits. I did not notice because of the experimento that went wrong on stage. This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Aspen was beamed from the stage below. Right, so them scraps that fell to the ground after and left some scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. It was bits of the balloon raining down. But cause no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some warped trader. Clearly it has nothing to do with the case. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? There's more.
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait! Please don't give your decisions yet. The photograph from Master Gods may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? A vital clue?
Objection!
We are well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definiteness now, so tell the court. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph prove? Gute Frage. The cause of the explosion, the balloon's owner, the balloon's color. The cause of the explosion, maybe? We can reasonably assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. Yeah, that's right! Yeah, it was not my fault! Evidently. Because the birdcage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of the alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see, and what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have. In a way that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. The clue that heavily suggests the real reason the balloon exploded is... Uff. Was sehen wir denn hier? Was sehen wir denn hier? Was ist das hier? Wait. Was ist es? Gucken wir uns nochmal die Evidenz an. Piece of green cloth, okay. Der Strahl vielleicht? The real reason the balloon exploded is... Photograph of the balloon. Das hier sieht ja schon ein bisschen sus aus, ne? Dieser Strahl hier. Aber ich weiß es nicht. Kann das vielleicht vom Bogen her was sein? Aber dann wird er ja nicht explodieren bei einem Bogenschuss. Dann würde er zwar ein Leck haben, aber er wollte nicht explodieren. A Great Exhibition. Okay. Ich speichere nochmal und probiere es dann einfach mal. Als ob! The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon. Most likely a ray of light, caught incidentally on film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Goodness, what is that? Undeniably some flash of light, yes. Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire heading straight for the balloon. Like an arrow? Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? Den Bogen? Vielleicht einfach ein Flame Arrow geschossen? Ups, da habe ich fast mein Mikro umgeworfen. If such evidence exists, Counsel, then for goodness sake, present it, man. Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon? Wir haben gerade so einen Lack die ganze Zeit mit Beweisen präsentieren und so. Wir scheinen vor Change Man nicht lost zu sein.
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. Good lord, is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil and satellite could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately... Blimey, you're right! That streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow, doesn't it? Then, the explosion of the balloon was very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! Order! Order! Counsel, this is an extraordinary supposition. If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. It's the noise of the discharge, of course. That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah. If someone had shot a gun off in the exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic. But with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no? I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implication of what you are saying, my Nipponese friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued... What? Wait a minute. What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what? My goodness me! Ah, now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. That's what I'm saying! Das habe ich die ganze Zeit gesagt, Leute. Das habe ich die ganze Zeit gesagt. Ich big brain. What? Did I just hear that correctly, Counsel? There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. Also eigentlich war es eher ein Magietrick, als so ein Zaubertrick, als Wissenschaft. From amidst the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible. That what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. God grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic. Both Mr. Jones and I was said that the experiment was a scientific impossibility. In which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day. And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the Crystal Tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? Okay. If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Juror number 3. All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Assman, and having this other man appear on stage to front the show, as a body double. Yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Assman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the 4 winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture. Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend upon the mixture ratio. Juror number 4. Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. The mixture ratio, also die Textur, wie viel da gemixt wurde. Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns that would be unavoidable, but not to such an extent as to render the whole obscene charade impossible. So everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception, to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Well, goodness me. And if we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Assman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant, who was on stage in full view the entire time. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zieks can't credibly maintain that Professor Hairbrain is a suspect now. Wer kommt jetzt? Natürlich ist es Hairbrain selbst. Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your effort. Thank you. But, Professor... But you can't stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Hairbrain? Okay...